Hi everybody, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I hope you had a beautiful day today. I got home late, so it is after 9 o'clock. I went to town and I did shopping, and so I'm sorry that I'm late getting the story tonight. So some of you may not see it till tomorrow, but like I said, it was a beautiful Thursday here, and I was happy to do it. The things that I could. So tonight, again, we're reading out of the Hair Pulling Bear Dog, the D.J. Dillon series by Lee Roddy. And yesterday, if you remember, the name of the chapter was How to Ride a Bear. Did you remember that? Oh, that's something I wouldn't want to do. Well, today we're on chapter 6, and it is titled DJ Makes a Dangerous Decision. Oh no, I wonder what he's going to do. Let's find out. Kathy's mother twisted in the front seat of her husband's aging green sedan. Sedan is something that they used to call a family car. Used to be called a sedan. Her blue-green eyes sparkled and her smile was warm. "I am so glad you could join us, DJ," she said. She was such a pretty woman, quite slender, with short brunette hair that's brown like mine, and a dimple in her right cheek. It'd be kind of like a little poked in part thing. So cute. "Thanks for inviting me," DJ said. He stole a glance at Kathy sitting beside him. She was looking out the window at some beehives in the apple orchard they were passing. I have a beehive with bees, and so they can be very interesting. So he's looking at those. Mrs. Stagg asked, "Paul told me about your father and your grandfather. I trust they're well." "Yes, thanks, except Dad's leg isn't healing too fast. He's been off work now several days. With no money coming in, he gets to fretting some." Fretting means worrying. DJ paused and then remembered to ask, "How's your father?" "Better. My mother wrote this week that he is recovering nicely. It was good to be with my parents for a while, even if it did mean leaving Paul and Kathy alone." She paused and then continued, "I understand you used to go to church with your mother." The boy didn't answer for a moment. Finally he said, "I went when we had a supply pastor, but I quit when Mom got hurt in the accident. I asked God to heal her, but she died." He looked out the window. Mrs. Stagg said, "DJ, there are some things no human can rightly explain, but you shouldn't give up your faith in God because of that. Someday, maybe you'll understand." "Maybe," the boy admitted, still looking out the window but not really seeing anything. "But I don't know. I'm not even sure if he really exists." Paul Stagg's deep, rumbling voice filled the car. "Lots of young people your age go through a period of doubting. I did. But when I look at the stars and those mountains and even a snowflake, I know someone made them and put everything in place. I can't look around me without believing, without knowing really that there is a God and He loves us. He loves us all. So I believe, even though I can't say I always understand, DJ, I hope you will come to that time too." The boy was silent a moment. He remembered how his mother taught him about Jesus. She had taught him to read the Bible and how to pray. Kathy asked, "Do your father or grandfather ever go to church?" DJ turned to face Kathy. "My mom told me once that Dad used to go to church with her before they were married." but he got mad at something or somebody in the church and never went back. And I'm not sure about Grandpa. I think he used to believe, but he never talks about it. Paul Stagg said, "Can't always tell what a person's thinking inside, DJ. We're all praying for your family and for you." DJ squirmed a little, wiggled a little. He didn't want to talk about such things, but his mind leaped back and he saw his mother as she had been. He could picture her in his mind. She cooked and sewed and kept Dad and Grandpa from arguing. Sometimes she'd take up her guitar and play and sing, mostly hymns. And she laughed. When she laughed, Dad and Grandpa and DJ laughed too. She made their home happy. And she always told DJ that no matter how bad things looked, God would always look after them if you believed and had patience. But she was dead, and DJ was lonely, and he didn't see how any good could come out of that. The Stagg home was a rental 2 miles outside of town. The house was small, but DJ had an instant feeling that the place was special. Flowers had already been planted, dry weeds had been cut and carried away, untended vines were trimmed back. Inside, the house smelled clean and warm. It echoed with happy sounds. DJ heard Kathy and her mother laughing in the kitchen as they prepared lunch. DJ sat down in a comfortable green couch with the cheery yellow flowers in the pattern. Paul Stagg sank into a tan-colored easy chair that looked like it might be leather, but DJ guessed it wasn't real leather. The giant leaned back and said, "You'd like to hear some more bear stories?" "Sure. Got any funny ones?" "Well, now you got to remember what I once said about stretching the truth some. I wouldn't want you to get the idea that I'm not a truthful preacher." So when he told the story, sometimes he'd stretch it a little bit so it would be more scary or funnier. And that's what he meant by that. "I'll remember." He returned the giant's grin. He smiled at him. "I'll remember. Let's see. Oh, yes. It all started when a farmer came to me because he wanted to get an old bear that was eating his corn. It had just come to roasting ear size for eating, so his corn was just getting ripe. So I went over there to take a look at the bear tracks the farmer told me about. It was too late to do anything that day, so I went away to sleep and came back just before daylight. I barely got hid real good when I saw that old bear coming out the woods. Well, sir, he hopped over that rail fence and started down the row of corn. But this old bear stood up on his hind feet, and he laid those ears of corn in his arm, just like a man gathering wood." Wow. To carry into the house, like a man carrying firewood in the house. That got me curious, so I didn't shoot, I just watched. When that bear got a big armload of corn, he turned, still walking upright like a man, hopped over that fence, and went off about 100 yards. It was light enough that I could see somebody cut a big tree down and left a stump that had rotted out. I watched as that bear tossed his armload of corn into that hollow stump. I wasn't sure if the bear was storing corn for the winter or what, so I waited. When the bear walked over the hill and out of sight, I went over to the stump and took a look. You know what I saw? That bear had 2 pigs in there that he was fattening up. DJ roared with laughter. "That's a good one." The giant grinned in delight. You understand that I can't testify to the whole truth of that particular story, but I can tell you some stories that you may not believe. The lay preacher continued to tell stories until Kathy came in to set the table and announced that lunch was ready. DJ was given a straight-backed wooden chair across from Kathy. Mrs. Stagg sat on the end of the table nearest the kitchen. Paul Stagg took the other end of the table. He reached out and engulfed DJ's right hand, so they're holding hands to pray. Everybody's holding hands, while Mrs. Stagg took the other. The boys saw that Kathy held her parents' hands, so the circle was complete. And that's how I like to do prayers when I have people at my house too. I like us all to hold hands. The big man's voice rumbled a bass prayer of thanks. DJ didn't close his eyes. He was thinking how nice it was to have white linen tablecloth instead of printed oilcloth. That was the happiest meal he'd had in months. Everyone laughed and talked, sometimes all at once. DJ had second helpings of pot roast with boiled potatoes and 2 slices of German chocolate cake for dessert. That sounds good. Finally, he picked up his cloth napkin, used it to wipe off his mouth, and leaned back. That was the best cooking I've had in a long time, he said happily. Have some more, Paul Stagg urged. No, thank you. I've had plenty. Mrs. Stagg asked, You lived here all your life, DJ? Born in the hospital in Indian Springs. That's the county seat. You gonna live here always? Kathy asked. No, soon as I can, I'm moving away. Where are you going? The girl asked. I don't know. I'm going to move right out of high school, and I'm never coming back. Kathy exclaimed, Why not? Stony Ridge is the nicest place I've ever lived. If Dad didn't have to go preach wherever the Lord called him, we'd stay right here forever. Wouldn't we, Dad? Mom? His parents nodded, but DJ hardly noticed. He said with feeling, I hate this place. I hate where we live. I hate my dad and my grandpa fighting, and I hate not having a collie or a boy my own age for a friend. The 3 Stagg family members looked at him in surprise. DJ lowered his head, but his feelings didn't change. Paul Stagg said quietly, David, we can't always choose our circumstances. Oh, he didn't call him DJ. He called him David, his first name. We can't always change our circumstances or our surroundings. But God doesn't make any mistakes. He puts us all in a place for a reason. DJ shrugged and looked at his plate. He wished the laughter and stories hadn't stopped. Paul Staggs continued, I used to be ashamed of my heritage, of where I came from and my folks and all. They were Oklahoman tenant farmers with only a 6th grade education, so they farmed other people's land. So they were poor. But the Lord made me see that if he had me born to those folks, my folks, for a reason, and born in the place where I was. Without the background, I'd not been able to enjoy life the way that I do today. Fact is, DJ, I'm proud of what I am. A plain old country boy who loves and serves the Lord. DJ shifted uneasily in his chair. He didn't like all this talk. Kathy seemed to sense this. She announced unexpectedly, I'm going to church camp next week. Have you ever been to one? Just a second, I need a drink. That's better. No, never been anywhere. Would you like to go? She asked. Can't. I've been studying on it and I've come up with a decision. You see, it's my fault that Dad got hurt and can't work. Doctor bills piling up and all. Paul exclaimed, DJ, you can't be blamed for that. If I'd not tried to get too close to the top of that cliff and look over, and if that dumb old dog hadn't jumped on my back and then run away, Dad wouldn't be hurt. Dad was trying to sell that mutt or give him away, and I've got to go after that outlaw bear. Kathy protested, DJ, you can't do that. Mother agreed. It's impossible for one boy to take on that responsibility. Do your father and grandfather know about this? No, haven't told them yet. I figured on just taking the hounds one day and slipping out quiet like and doing it. The giant's rumbling voice was next. DJ, you can't take that risk. Got to, the boy insisted. That's the only way I can make up for things. Paul frowned thoughtfully. Maybe you should give that healer another chance. Dogs sometimes are like a boy. They deserve a second chance. No chance for that mutt, DJ said firmly. Dad says we're getting rid of him, and that's the way it is. Mom used to say nobody was a contrary mind as my dad when he set his mind on something. So we've got to sell the mutt. And I've got to go hunting to get that bear. I have to hurry too, because Mr. Abbas and the boy are racing to beat me killing that outlaw bear. Paul sat straight up. David, no offense, but you're not yet a full-grown boy, and bear hunting's dangerous, even for 2 or 3 men. No choice, he said quietly. Mrs. Stagg looked across the table at her husband. Paul, can't you get someone from the church to help DJ? No experienced bear hunters around here, leastwise none I'd feel good trusting this boy's life with. Kathy reached across and touched her father's big hand. You can go with him, Dad. DJ looked up in surprise. Kathy's parents were no less surprised. DJ blurted, I thought you were against killing bears. I am. Kathy tilted her chin up defiantly and looked him steadily in the eye. But Dad has a permit to trap a nuisance bear that's been raiding the church camp. He's already has a man making a culvert trap for that bear. I've read the bounty posters. It doesn't say anything about the outlaw bear having to be dead. The reward will be paid for a live bear as long as he is trucked far away so that he will never come back here. So why couldn't both the outlaw and the nuisance bear be trapped? That's an interesting idea. DJ started to say he thought that was the dumbest thing he'd ever heard. Why was it that Kathy had to be so spunky and always making him feel like he had to defend everything he believed in? Before the boy could decide what to say, the lay preacher answered his daughter's question. I'd love to, Kathy, but I can't. Got the Lord's work to look after. Plus, catching the church camp raider before all those kids arrive. He has to do that too. DJ was relieved. He'd grown up in an area where wild game was shot for food or sport, and nuisance animals were always killed. That was the only thing he'd ever heard about. Nobody ever made a suggestion like Kathy's. Boy, she made him feel half mad, always disagreeing with him. On the way back into town with Paul Stagg, the big man said he thought he had a low tire. That means that there wasn't as much air in his tire as there should be. He stopped at the town's only gas station and checked the air pressure. DJ went around back to the restroom. Nels Abbas was just coming out of the washroom. Sometimes that's what a bathroom is called, is a washroom. His straggly hair fell wetly from his forehead and halfway down the bridge of his nose. This is the bridge of your nose. Well, now, look who's here. DJ, the church boy. DJ tried to push by without answering, but Nels moved sideways and blocked his path. Hey, I just thought of something. My pop and me lost our hair puller to that outlaw bear a couple nights ago. We'll take yours. For a moment, DJ was too surprised to speak. Though Abbas had been to Boot Maloney's place, they hadn't known the truth about the hair-pulling dog. Here was the chance to unload the coward on them. DJ said he's not for sale. Nels sneered. Dog's probably of no account anyway. Doesn't matter none. Soon my pop and me will kill that outlaw bear, and we'll have plenty of money to buy all kinds of hair pullers. DJ watched Nels walk away. Suddenly, without having any idea why he said it, he called out, "You're not going to kill that bear?" Nels turned. "Why not?" "Because," DJ exclaimed, "that bear is going to be captured alive and trucked out of here." "Who's going to do a dumb thing like that?" "I am." DJ's stubbornness was getting away with him. He hadn't meant to say that. He hadn't meant to say any of that. "You?" Nels pointed at the mountain boy. DJ wished he hadn't blurted out such a thing. The older boy laughed. "Ha ha ha! That's stupid. Plain stupid. Wait till I tell my pop how dumb you really are." DJ could hear Nels laughing halfway down the street. DJ groaned. He wet his hands in the sink and pumped the harsh soap granules into his palm. He thought, "Boy, now I've done it." So that's the end of that chapter. That was kind of a short chapter this time. Let's see, it started on page 53. It was only 9 pages, so that was short. So that's where I'm going to end for tonight. Tomorrow, I will try to read much earlier, and it will be Friday tomorrow. It might be Friday when you're actually going to hear this because I'm recording it so late. We'll be reading chapter 7, and the title is A Mad Mother Bear with Cubs. Uh-oh. That sounds really dangerous to me. You don't ever want to get close to a mother bear with cubs. So I hope you have a wonderful night tonight, or if you're watching this in the day, a wonderful day. I want to remind you I love you. I hope that your life is filled with joy and hope and excitement. And I hope you're enjoying this story. All right, you take care. God bless you and good night.